If you've ever told yourself this time will be different, only to find yourself right back in the same drinking cycle, this episode is for you. I see you. I was you. Welcome to the Feel Good Alcohol-Free podcast. I'm Lindsay Henneke, sobriety coach, and I help women see the truth of who they really are and pull out the strengths, insights, and clarity they need to grow into their next level by removing alcohol from their lives. And today we're going to talk about why moderation always fails and why that's actually good news. So before we dive in, make sure you're subscribed so that you don't miss an episode. Now, let's get into it. For years, I believed that if I just tried harder, I'd figure out how to drink like a normal person. Side note, for those that are just listening to this, I want to point out that I am using quotations around normal person. I did every health challenge under the sun. I often share how when I would start, say, like a 30-day challenge, I would hang my little calendar up, and in the box on day 31, I would have a little wine glass there. It was always my reward. So as I would get to the end of the challenge, I would prepare for what my life would be like after. I would always say that I was officially going to be able to drink normally. I'd set all these rules in place. I promised myself I'd be better. And every single time, I ended up right back where I started. And this wasn't just the drinking. Those patterns would be right back in my life, surrounded by the other aspects that went south when alcohol started to take over again. And what I mean by that is skipped workouts and fast food. Maybe this sounds familiar. If you've been stuck in this cycle, you are not alone. Pretty much everyone I know that is alcohol-free tried at one point to moderate their drinking. It's this unfortunate mental gymnastics that we force ourselves to go through. But wouldn't it be great if there was a way to not do that? So today we're breaking down the biggest lie keeping you trapped. I can't even count how many times I thought, this time I've got it. So back to the month-long challenges. Think dry January or sober October. I'd commit to a 30-day health challenge, no drinking, clean eating, workouts every morning. And you know what? I would feel amazing. My skin would be glowing. My energy was through the roof. I was crushing it at work. I knew I had finally reset my relationship with alcohol. So I'd set my new rules. Only on weekends, only 2 nights a week, only 1 glass. And the first week, it was easy. I would feel in control. But then little cracks started forming. A midweek dinner with friends? Okay, just one won't hurt. A rough day at work? Well, I deserve to relax. Before I knew it, I was right back where I started, drinking every single day. Waking up groggy and worse, feeling like a failure. And I told myself the same thing every time. Next time I'll be better. But the truth, it was never about me being better. The system I was using, trying to control alcohol, was rigged against me from the start. So, why does moderation never work? Let's break it down. There's the I can control it myth. When you've spent years drinking, your brain has created deep neural pathways around alcohol. You're wired to reach for it in certain situations. Willpower alone won't rewire those pathways. I truly believed I could make alcohol fit into my life if I just found the right balance. Every time I took a break from drinking, I came back with new rules. Only on weekends, only 2 drinks, only special occasions. I was convinced that this time would be different, that I was different. But every single time, those rules unraveled. Before I knew it, I was drinking on random Tuesdays, justifying it, well, today was stressful. Looking back, I wasn't failing because I lacked willpower. I was stuck in a system that was designed to fail. My brain had been rewired to expect relief from drinking. And no matter how many rules I made, alcohol always found a way back in. So this created decision fatigue. Every time you have to decide whether to drink, you drain your mental energy. This is why just one never stays just one. The amount of mental energy I spent thinking about drinking was unreal. Every single day, there was an ongoing debate in my head. Is today a drinking day? Can I have a second glass? Should I stop now? I thought moderation would give me control. But instead, it just made alcohol the center of my world. It was like I was always in negotiations with myself. Sundays were particularly bad. If anything got in the way of my couch and wine ritual, I felt irrationally irritated, like my right to unwind was being taken away. Not because I wanted the wine so badly, but because I had spent all week thinking about when I could drink next. It was exhausting then, and to be honest, it's exhausting now just thinking about it. What I finally came to realize is that as long as alcohol was still an option, I was always going to be in this constant tug of war. The next one is alcohol's sneaky nature. The very thing you're trying to control, alcohol, lowers your inhibitions. So by drink 2, your carefully crafted rules, they're gone. I used to tell myself, I'll just have 1 glass tonight. But the moment that first glass hit, my brain had other plans. Suddenly, a second sounded like a good idea, then a third. That's the thing about alcohol. It literally shuts down the part of your brain responsible for decision making and self-control. The version of me that made the only 1 drink rule wasn't the same version of me making decisions after I started drinking. I kept wondering why I had no discipline. But the truth is, alcohol was designed to override my discipline. So the next one is the cycle of regret and justification. 1 drink leads to another, then another. Then, why did I do that again? And the next day, you promise yourself you'll do better. And this loop is just repeating. This is why moderation is not the answer. It never has been. Every Monday morning, I woke up with regret sitting heavy in my chest. I'd tell myself, I don't want to do this anymore. I need to cut back. But by Thursday, I'd already started negotiating again. This weekend, I'll do better. I'll just have 1. And then the cycle continued because that's how alcohol works. It tricks you into believing that you have control while keeping you trapped in the loop. If this feels all too familiar to you, please keep listening. There is a way to break free from the loop. So stick with me. That's where we are headed. Okay, so first, I want to talk a little bit about Sundays. My Sundays used to look like this. I would wake up with the best intentions. I'd usually work out even if I was hungover and then plan my week. But by noon, my mind was already on that evening ahead, couch and wine time. By 2 p.m., if something threatened to get in the way of my ritual, like plans with the friends or maybe an errand that I forgot, I'd feel this deep irritation. Like, how dare anything mess with my time to unwind? My husband even knew, like on Sunday afternoons, we were on our own. See ya at dinner, which usually I would have grand plans to make something amazing for us, only to tell him we'd be ordering takeout. And here's the kicker. I thought this was relaxation. I thought I was treating myself, but I wasn't in control of this habit. This habit was completely controlling me. So I want to talk about this emotional grip of alcohol. I used to think that alcohol was just something I liked, a casual indulgence. But when I really looked at my patterns, I saw this truth. Alcohol wasn't just a drink. It was a deeply ingrained part of how I coped, relaxed, and even rewarded myself. I wasn't just drinking wine on Sundays, I was counting on it. And that was a hard thing to admit. So, why does this happen? Why do we cling so tightly to these drinking rituals? First, we have the comfort factor. Your brain links alcohol to relaxation. It becomes a requirement for unwinding. Why does alcohol feel like a reward? I told myself I deserved that wine at the end of the week. I worked hard, I was stressed, and Sunday was my last chance to unwind before Monday came crashing in. But here's the thing. That reward was robbing me of the very thing I was trying to achieve. I wanted to feel rested before the work week started. Instead, I woke up Monday feeling sluggish, irritated, and guilty. Alcohol convinced me it was giving me relief, but in reality, it was keeping me dependent. So we're going to go into next why it feels essential. And this is like how our brain has attachment to rituals. You believe you need it. Without it, you don't know how to shut off your brain or transition out of the stress of the week. How else do you go from work you to after work you? Over time, drinking becomes more than just a habit. It becomes a ritual, and the brain loves rituals. They give us structure, something to look forward to. And so for me, Sunday wasn't just about wine. It was about the whole experience, the couch, the binge-worthy show, the sense that I had earned this time to completely check out. And because I had repeated this so many times, my brain had wired itself to expect it. That's why if anything got in the way of my Sunday ritual, I felt unreasonably angry. It wasn't just a preference. It felt like this was a need that I had. So that's where so many people get stuck, because when something feels essential, the idea of giving it up seems impossible. But here's the truth. It wasn't the wine I needed. It was the ritual. Okay, so we're going to talk about how to break free, challenging the belief that alcohol equals relaxation. The real goal isn't to control alcohol. It's to not think about alcohol at all. That's what freedom actually looks like. So here's the hardest truth I had to face. I wasn't just fighting a habit. I was fighting a belief system. I had spent years convincing myself that alcohol was the key to unwinding, that it was what made a Sunday night feel special, and that without it, I'd be missing out. And that belief, that is what kept me stuck, because as long as I believed alcohol was the only way to feel relaxed, any attempt to moderate or quit felt like deprivation, like I was being punished. So before I could change what was in my glass, I had to change why I believed I needed it in the first place. So I started asking myself, what am I actually trying to feel right now? Is alcohol the only way to create that feeling? What if I could relax without it? What would that even look like? How can I take care of myself right now? Now, at first, my brain wanted to shut that down. It told me, nope, wine is the only thing that works, because that was the story I had been reinforcing for years. But here's the thing, that story wasn't true. It wasn't true at all. It was just familiar. And just like I had trained my brain to associate alcohol with relaxation, I could train it to associate something else with relaxation instead. So, all right, let's move into rewriting the ritual and finding what really works for you. This is where persistence comes in, because swapping the drink alone isn't enough. You have to rebuild the entire experience. For me, I had to keep the parts of my Sunday ritual that actually served me. the signal to unwind. I needed a clear transition from the busy week into rest mode. So instead of pouring a drink, I'd take a hot shower, change into comfy clothes, dim the lights a little bit. I'd create something to sip on. I still wanted that sensory experience of holding a glass, which is why finding alcohol-free alternatives helped. So I needed a way to truly relax. Instead of numbing out, I started asking, what actually makes me feel good? Now, sometimes it was watching a show. Sometimes it was reading. Sometimes it was stretching on the floor with a candle burning. Sometimes I would just lay down on my yoga mat and lay there. So at first it felt unnatural. My brain still wanted wine, but over time the craving lost its power because I wasn't just removing alcohol. I was replacing it with better ways to decompress. This is the real work of breaking free. Now, it's not just about what you drink. It's about proving to yourself that alcohol was never the solution. So if you're listening to this and thinking, okay, but what do I drink instead? I've got you. There are so many amazing alcohol-free options out there now, and I've tried a lot of them. One of my favorites is Odd Bird Addiction. It's a non-alcoholic bold Spanish red, and if you want to give it a try, I've got a discount code and I've linked it in the show notes for you. But more than anything, I want you to know this. You're not just changing a habit, you're changing a belief, and that is what is going to set you free. So the next area we're going to dive into is how we learn from the comfort zone. Every single time that we slip and we have a drink, it's easy to feel like we failed, but that is also not the truth. As you start approaching your sobriety with this new lens, I want you to remember that we're not looking for perfection. The key here is progress. A slip is not proof that you're back at square one. It's a signpost. It's an opportunity to gather information, to see what led you there, and then to adjust. You don't have to face this moment empty-handed. With the right tools and support, you can use these slips as data points rather than reasons to give up. Each time you choose to get back up, you're strengthening your resilience and proving to yourself that you are capable of change. So the real danger here isn't in slipping, it's in staying stuck. But when you have the right support system, you don't just get back on track, you move forward, and every time it's stronger than before. So here's how. You have to recognize the pattern. Every time I reached for a drink, it was because I wanted something familiar. Good or bad, I knew what the outcome would be. Drinking meant I could predict how I'd feel, even if it came with regret the next day. The real discomfort came from choosing not to drink, because then I didn't know what was going to happen. So the next one is shifting the mindset. Instead of seeing the urge to drink as a failure, I started seeing it as a sign. It was a reminder of why I was doing this work. To create a life where I didn't need alcohol to relax, celebrate, or cope. So what happens here is we are challenged with uncertainty. The key to breaking free was getting comfortable with the unknown, being comfortable being uncomfortable. I had to sit with the discomfort of not knowing exactly how I'd unwind or how I'd handle stress without a drink. And over time, that discomfort became freedom. So I'm going to give you a little bit of a tactical strategy here. When the urge hit, I used a simple trick. Play it forward. I'd ask myself, what happens if I drink? Because I already knew one glass would turn into more and I'd wake up feeling like crap. Then I'd ask, what happened if I don't drink? And that answer was open-ended. Maybe I'd feel restless, but maybe I'd also wake up feeling strong, proud, and in control. So you have to choose a different path. That is going to be your turning point. Rewriting the ritual isn't just about swapping your wine for a mocktail one night and calling it done. It takes repetition. But here's what I want you to remember. Every time you choose not to drink, you're weakening the old neural pathway and strengthening a new one. At first, it's uncomfortable because your brain is wired for what's familiar. But over time, through consistent practice, your new patterns will start to feel automatic. How long will it take for you? Well, that depends on your level of commitment and how often you challenge the old belief that alcohol is the only way to unwind. Some nights will feel easy, others are going to be a battle. But if you stick with it, you will reach a point where alcohol is no longer the default. When I finally accepted that moderation wasn't the answer, everything changed. Instead of trying to manage alcohol, I let it go completely. And you know what? That's when I actually found peace. No more mental gymnastics, no more rules, no more Sunday couch rage because I needed my wine time, just freedom. So last Sunday, I woke up early. Well, the same time that I wake up every day, which is, well, early. It was just before 5 a.m. I grabbed my coffee. I woke Remy up for some snuggles. These are my priorities. And of course, a little scroll through Instagram. Sunday mornings are my favorite for checking in on my DMs. Seeing messages from women who went to bed alcohol-free on a Saturday night never gets old. By 7 a.m., I had already worked out, started laundry, and made my grocery list, all before my husband was even awake. And before we hit the mountain for the day, I had done all of that. I had enough energy to grocery shop after skiing all day. By dinner, I was in my sweatpants watching a show, feeling nothing but gratitude. No Sunday scaries, no anxiety about Monday, just a full, good day. This is what I live for now. And listen, if this is resonating, you're not alone. This cycle isn't a personal failure. It's just how alcohol works. And the good news, you can break free. You don't have to figure it out alone. I can help with that. So here's your next step for this week. Are you ready? I want you to take what you learned today and adjust one part of your ritual this week. You can pick one of the following areas. Maybe it's the signal to unwind, something to sip on, or a way to truly relax and adjust your ritual. Try a post-work shower or create a new playlist that you put on when you get home and have a little dance party. Crack open an NA fizzy drink and journal for 5 minutes, or do some yoga. Small steps lead to major progress. This is the work that we do in my group coaching program, Feel Good AF. In 13 weeks, you will learn the tools you need to let go of alcohol and feel so effing good in your life that you wouldn't even think about ruining it with the hangover. If you've ever found yourself in this loop, I want you to know you are not broken. This is not about willpower. It's about rewriting the way you think about alcohol altogether. Okay, if this episode hit home for you, don't just let it sit, take action. You can book a free call with me or head over to my website at lindsayhenneke.com to get the full details on what it's like to work with me. The version of you who feels free, confident, and completely unfazed by alcohol, she's already in you. So it's time to make space for her. All right, that's it for this week. I will see you next time.